Welcome back to the P.S. Gilmore story, and specifically the um, the development of New Year's celebrations in New York. This isn't reported anywhere on Google or YouTube, so we're going to just tackle this now. It's episode 44 of the P.S. Gilmore story, and it's going to concern specifically the first ringing in the new year in New York, um, and the history behind it. Of course, this is P.S. Gilmore, another one of his initiatives, and the his feeling was that basically he wanted to give thanks to America for all that America had done, not just for him, but for everyone in um, for all immigrants, I suppose. New Year's Eve celebrations wasn't celebrated as we do today. Here is from here. This piece on the screen before you is from 1874, Richmond. This is 1876 in Cincinnati. Okay, they have a carnival celebration on there for New Year's Eve, commemorating the ushering in of the centennial year. But normally it would take place in halls, in committee rooms, or whatever. And it wasn't a celebration to all classes of people. It was mainly an upper class or an organized community, like, for instance, the Masons or a club or whatever it is. Here is from Hartford, Connecticut, and we see what's happening on there, or happening there on December the 29th, and again on New Year's night of the January the 1st. They didn't have the same, how would I say, mass on New Year's that we have today, or at least maybe they hadn't copped on to the marketability of New Year's Eve as we have today. Here, or the previous one there was New Year's cutlery. And that's the only reason it was mentioned. It was part of the marketing of the cutlery in that case. Here's from Kansas, Goodbye Old Year, a poem that would remember the year if the year had been good for you, and hoping that the new year would equally be as good. Here's from New York. The business will not occupy a great deal of the time of the Sir Knights. So, what this tells us clearly is they were having a meeting, the Monroe Commandery, they were having a meeting, and they would remember the end of the previous year. That's really it. Now, if you want to find out more about the New Year's Eve celebrations, check out online. You'll find about New Year's Eve in Times Square, started in 1904 with the crowds that ensued. But that is not the first celebration of New York, or in New York. In fact, it's this man, P.S. Gilmore, who came up with the idea, and I estimate it was back in 1880, 12 years before, because he was very aware of history, not just of Ireland, but history of America, and its place in society. And he wanted to remember that America had been discovered. That was the word that was used in those days, by Christopher Columbus, and that would happen in 1492. So therefore, 1892 would be 400 years celebration, and that had been basically marked by such columns and statues as this in Columbus Square in New York. There was a memory of it all over. What Gilmore wanted to do was a little bit different. He wanted to organize a concert tour of his magnificent band, which was at this stage recognized as the greatest band in the world. But he put together a special band, a band that had not been gathered before, of 100 solo musicians, 100 musicians of the highest rank in performance. You'll just have a look there, the number of clarinets, bassoons at the bottom, cornets, saxophones up at the top, bass tubas at the bottom, etc. That is an incredible roster for any season. But this was particularly magnificent because it was going to celebrate America's birthday, 400th birthday, if you go by the Colombian calendar. Here's the band actually in their seats ready for performance. And here again is, of course, P.S. Gilmore in the bandmaster position as per usual, to emphasize how much work went into this. And it was called the greatest band in the world. It had been recognized by the Germans, the French, the English, and every nation basically took off their hats in honor of Gilmore and what he had achieved. But this was going to be the elite of the profession. Here's Gilmore's band marching in New York and the type of crowds that were attracted by that. And this is one of the reasons why I call this Irishman by far our greatest superstar until probably U2's Bono arrived. So we have an idea of the event and how it's held. In 1892, in December, he decided that he would bring a proposal to City Hall in New York. And the proposal read as follows. The year 1892 is the 400th anniversary of the discovery of the continent, and it is eminently fitting that the approaching new year, in view of the prodigious strides made by this nature, should be fittingly ushered in, and whereas Patrick Sarsfield Gilmore, a public-spirited citizen, has with his associates of the 22nd basically offered their services free of charge, and so on. That was the resolution that was given to City Hall, and here is the resolution and permit to P.S. Gilmore to decourse patriotic airs from the steps of the City Hall on New Year's Eve, and it had been proposed by Alderman Flynn. And here's the report. The New Year was welcomed. Noise and music out of the doors, prayer and praise in churches. The crowd that filled City Hall Park at midnight last night and surged through all the tributary streets gave 1892 a welcome as any new year could wish. Flags floated over City Hall. Small boys festooned the bare limbs of the trees. Calcium lights shed a glare upon the crowd, and people pushed and jostled and tooted horns and gave each other good greeting. At the moment, the hands of the clocks were, you'll have to read it yourself. It's a wonderful report. And here is City Hall today, and when I visited it a number of years ago, and I decided in preparation, I suppose, for eventually producing something like this, I would take a picture of Gilmore in front of City Hall itself. And so that brings us basically to the end of this documentary. I'd like to wish you and yours a very, very happy new year. May I also thank you all for your support for the 44 documentaries we've already done. And I will see you again 23rd of January 2023. Have a great one. Enjoy, and please click subscribe and like so that you will be informed of the next documentary. So, Happy New Year. Bye bye.